Good afternoon to everybody, and welcome again to Global Entrepreneurship class. So today I'm going to talk about thinking skills and thinking techniques. And the reason I have timed this lecture today is to literally help you with the project selection. So as we know, every one of you will be having some entrepreneurial project, raising fund for it using crowdfunding, and I hope that this lecture will help you with the thinking techniques and the thinking skills necessary to produce some highly innovative products, services, ideas for projects, and hopefully you can, through that, add some value. So what I plan to do is to do a quick recap to whatever we have talked about thus far. I will talk again about CDIO as a system approach towards entrepreneurship. Then I will talk about the ideas, the thinking techniques. I'll be focusing on few of them: brain networking, brainstorming, random entry, trimming, and also a technique that's called blue ocean strategy. So really the aim and the spirit of the lecture today is to give you a place to start. If you want to think, how do I think? How do I start the thinking process? And hopefully, as you practice these techniques, they become like a second habit, and that will improve your thinking skills. So, entrepreneurship. We said that entrepreneurship is about people, and it is done through people. And it's about making a difference while adding a value and ultimately making the world a better place. I mentioned that this is a romantic and optimistic way of looking at the world, but think about it. Entrepreneurs have to be very optimistic and positive people. They see opportunities where everyone else sees obstacles. And that's really a key element of entrepreneurship. And thinking is the key process that drives entrepreneurship. If you really think about it, thinking is extremely important, because you will need to see something that does not exist, and the value that exists only in the mind of an entrepreneur, and he or she will work with people to deliver this value, and hopefully the value is well perceived by the intended users or stakeholders. If you recall, we said that thinking process happens in 3 stages, and naming is a very important stage. And if we continue naming things positively at the higher level of our brain, then we will have a positive classification for them at the middle brain, and eventually we could even wire those habits and become inherently very positive people. So that's why, as you all know, we have banned the use of the P word in this class. And as you are faced with an obstacle or a difficulty, I hope if you are playing along, you will be using a positive thing to describe it. And when you name things positively, when you frame them positively, you will feel good about them, and that will lead you towards seeing the value in them. And language is an extremely important driver of the thinking process, and that's why one of my hopes is that through this course we really develop a world-class language, a language that's full of opportunity and value, and able to transfer any difficulty or obstacle into an opportunity to make the world a better place. We also talked about CDIO, which stands for conceive, design, implement, and operate. And we produced it or introduced it as an entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship system. a way to think, or a system or framework to think about entrepreneurship. So anything that has ever happened that is man-made has gone through these 4 stages one way or another. Someone has to think about it, conceive it, someone has to design it, someone has to implement it or build it, and someone has to eventually operate it. So we would like to think of this as the framework through which we could recognize, identify, create, and deliver value. But the key thing here is it's all starts as an idea. It all starts at the conceiving stage. And hence, the lecture today is really about thinking skills, about how to create, how to generate ideas, very good ideas, very high value ideas, because that's where everything starts. So now I want you to think of the brain, and a single brain can be seen as a computer. So anyone, individual, yourself, myself, any one of us can be seen as, or their brain, which is I have here. I brought the brain with me again. So this can be seen as maybe a single computer. So a single computer, it could be very powerful, but a single computer is not as powerful as a network of computers. So if you imagine, if a single brain is a single computer and it can do many things, imagine if we are able to network, to connect many brains, then the power is going to be much bigger. So imagine a single computer against, for example, the internet. So one of the techniques that I'm going to talk about today is how to rewire our brains to think positively, and how to network our brains so that the brains can tap on the power of the brains of others. So just like when a computer is connected into a network of computers, the network itself becomes more valuable and strong and more powerful. You imagine if we can connect our brains somehow to the brains of others, and how powerful the brains are going to be. So the first technique that I would like to introduce to you is what I would like to call brain networking. Now, brain networking can be done in teams. Normally, it's done in teams of 6 to 12. And a team could start with a word, or an item, or a picture. Then, everyone, so if I start with this, and I say, what is this? So let's say it's the 3 of us. So what is this?
Brain.
It's a brain. Okay, so now you ignore what I've said. You listen to him, and he said brain. So what came to your mind when you heard the word brain? Thinking. So now I have to take your word, which is thinking, and I see I forget what he started with brain, and thinking drives in me maybe studying. So he will say brain, say thinking, I say studying. Now you ignore thinking when I say, okay, so.
It's a brain.
Thinking.
Studying.
It could be like hard working or books.
No, yeah, so say books. So
okay,
actually,
books.
I want you to trust the process. There's no right or wrong.
Right.
Whatever comes to your mind. When I say studying, you said books.
Okay.
Okay, now you ignore what was before, build on his words. So he said books. What does book or books bring to your mind?
Pen.
Pen. Ink.
Blue.
White.
can say sky.
No, he saw, it's okay, he said white, milk.
Child.
Naughty.
Punishment.
Stick.
Pain.
Panadol.
Head.
Brain again.
Thinking.
An idea.
Idea. Positive.
Battery.
A car.
Tires.
Puncture. So that process is actually a process that will, if we continue doing it, it will get easier and easier as we move on. And that is the time, because you see in the beginning, why you have that delay or hesitation, because you are thinking of the entire context and will the word be right or wrong. But if you think about it in a way that I ignore everything and I build on the idea that came from him and just trust the process, as you move on, it will become easier and easier, and it will become even more enjoyable. So as time goes by, then the process becomes easier, becomes more fluent, and that's the time where, for that period of time, our brains have been networked. We are connected. And that's a very good exercise that you do before you start the thinking process, if you want to think together. So before you do any exercise in thinking, if you do the brain networking, you invest a little bit of time in this. This will actually help you tap the power of 3 brains, or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or 12, depending on how many people you have, rather than you only focus on your own brain. So the process will move on until it becomes very smooth. When it's smooth and you can say the word very quickly, then you will know that this is, you are done. You are ready now to start whatever thinking techniques that you have. I think I have a few things to say. The networked brains are warmed up and ready to collaborate. That's really the key. So if we were to do this exercise, and I want maybe the entire class to play along. So we start with a picture, Jeff, if you don't mind. So can you please listen to me so that you know when the mic comes to you what to do? So I've put a picture up there. I'm going to ask Jeff to tell us what comes to his mind. What I would like you to do, please, is to ignore the picture, take the input from him, and say what comes to your mind. And as it comes to you, you also ignore the picture and ignore what Jeff said and take it from him. And let's see where do we reach at the end of the class.
Cholesterol.
Cholesterol.
Health.
Health.
Gem.
Gem.
What is Jen?
Gem, yeah.
Weight.
Weight.
Exercise.
Exercise.
Gym.
Gym.
Sport.
Sport.
Badminton.
Badminton.
Fitness.
Fitness.
Running.
Running.
Running shoe.
Running shoe.
Tight. Tight.
Tight.
Body.
Body. So now you just think of body. You forget about yeah.
Okay, what is it? Body, right?
Body.
Slim.
Slim.
Model.
Model.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Ugly.
Ugly.
Ducklings. Ugly ducklings.
Ducklings, okay.
Animals.
Animals.
Chickens.
Chicken.
Food.
Food.
KFC.
KFC.
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Drinks.
Wings.
Drink.
Drink. Okay.
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Sprite.
Sprite.
Unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Candy.
Candy.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Fat.
Fat.
Body.
Body.
Obesity.
Obesity.
Fat.
Fat.
Vodka.
Vodka.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Death.
Death.
No, death. Die.
Die. Death. Death.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Coffin. Coffin.
Coffee. Coffin.
Grave.
Grave.
Accident.
Accident.
Corpse.
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 Yeah, thanks. So actually, this was like if we continue doing this and it becomes very, very smooth and quick, you can actually network the entire class into one big brain kind of network. So you notice in the beginning there is a bit of hiccups, delay, should I say it? But if you just relax and trust the process, believe me, as you go on, few things will happen. It will become more enjoyable, it will become easier and smooth. And that's the sign that brains are warmed up, are connected, and you are ready to work together. So this is an exercise that may sound a bit silly, but believe me, if you do it before you do, let's say, a brainstorming or a thinking process, it will help you tune your wavelength so that you could, work together at least for that specific period of time. Another exercise, so the brain networking itself is really a preparation, is a warm-up exercise. You won't create ideas from the brain networking itself, but it's a prerequisite or precursor for the other exercises. So I will talk about brainstorming. And so I have a question. How many of you heard of brainstorming? Okay. How many of you did not hear of brainstorming? How many of you did not raise your hand? Okay. How many of you know how to perform brainstorming? Okay. How many of you are not sure? Okay, great. So brainstorming, a lot of people think that they know how to do brainstorming, but in actual fact, maybe they don't really do it the way it should be. So this is a process that was introduced by Alex Osborne, and it has rules. It has some rules behind them so that you can get the best out of it. The first rule is you'll have one conversation at a time. So if you are giving ideas, everyone else should listen to you rather than they are thinking of their own ideas. The second thing is you need to stay focused on the topic. So for example, if we are looking for ideas for a project that is related to parking, as the ideas keep on coming in, we need to remain focused on the parking topic, because brainstorming has this tendency of diverging and going into some other topics that may not be related to the topic that we started with. Now, brainstorming is based on creating many ideas. So it's about quantity, not quality. You really want to generate as many ideas as you can, rather than few very good ideas. So the technique works like this. And you need to encourage wild ideas. So instead of someone, for example, say, oh, we don't have parking, maybe we get flying cars and we park them somewhere else. Don't say, oh, this is a silly idea. You have actually to encourage the idea if it is wild, and that is connected to the other one, which is defer judgment. Do not criticize any idea. Any idea is good, because even if the idea is not applicable, it could generate an idea in the other mind that is applicable. So the other very important thing is to build on others' ideas. So for example, if we say flying cars, I don't just say, okay, I listen to you, but I say, okay, I want underwater cars. I need to use the flying element of his cars and try to build on it somehow. So these are the rules of brainstorming, and when you perform them, then some good results will take place. So after you generate ideas using the brainstorming, or if you have a number of ideas that going on in your mind, or you've discussed them with your friends, you need to have also a framework or a model or a way to select the ideas. So there are 4 domains that I would like to suggest that you consider when you are selecting an idea. So the first thing, any idea has to be economically viable. So it has to make a business sense. So if I make this device and it costs $1,000 to sell, no matter how good it is, I don't think people will buy it. So any idea that you think of, it has to be economically viable. It has to be part of a sustainable business model. The second part, it has to be, your ideas has to be technologically feasible. Now, entrepreneurship, or at least in this, the way we define it in this course, when we say you have to raise funds before the end of the course, deliver the value before the end of the year, which is less than 6 months after that, it means that the technology to develop and deliver the value has to be there. So for example, if someone come and say, and this is a real example one of you have emailed me, which is actually, I think, is a very noble idea, but maybe it doesn't fit the course, the entrepreneurship course objectives. Say he wants to make dialysis very cheap, for kidney failure. Now this is a wonderful project, but does the technology to do this exist now to make it very cheap? I doubt that. So can you develop the technology before the end of the semester? I also doubt that. So what I suggested, who was that person, by the way? Right. So what I suggested that the kidney dialysis as a process has many aspects to it. Part of it is the patient to go to the hospital. The patient has to be in the hospital for a certain period of time. The patient has to go back home, and there is a loss of productivity during that. we could see the entire process and we try to improve it. And maybe there is bigger opportunities there rather than we focus on making a machine to do the dialysis for 10% of the cost, which can be a project for research and development. So the research and development is a different thing. You are working on developing the technology. Research and development normally have a longer span. But if you say, I want to make a phone, and the phone has to have a touch screen, that technology should exist. Otherwise, you will never know when you are going to deliver the value. So technologically feasible means the technology is either available or expected to be available very soon. So that's what I meant by technologically feasible. So first, it has to be economically viable, means you can make it for a cost that is lower than the price that you could sell it for. Economically viable. Secondly, it has technologically feasible. The third one, whatever you make, no matter how much you like it, no matter how great you are, the idea you think, if it's not desirable by the others, I don't think this is a good entrepreneurial idea. So you want the project to be something that the others are desiring, the others would like to have. Your target customers or target stakeholders or the intended users would like to use it. The last thing is it has to be environmentally sustainable. This is something that relatively recent, where businesses are now paying more attention to the impact that they have on the environment. And it would be great that at the moment we are conceiving an idea, we not only think of it from an economical point of view for it to be viable, not only to be technologically feasible, not only to be desirable, but also to be sustainable. It has a good impact or a relatively lower negative impact on the environment. So whenever you have an idea, you ask yourself, is it viable? Is it feasible? Can I make it? Is it really something that I could make it within the time frame that is available for me? If I make this product or service, will people pay for it? Will people use it? Sometimes actually you make a free app and people don't use it. So it's not only the cost. If the people don't want it, people don't want it. So desirability is extremely important thing that you need to look at, and eventually or finally is the sustainable part. So I will take some questions, if any, about whatever we've said thus far before I move on. Any question about how to select ideas? Yes, there's a question here. Sunny, can you please help me?
Well, speaking about desirable, how do we know what would people desire? Yeah, I mean, I may like it, or people may not like it. People may like it, I may not like it.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
So that the question is, how do I know if anyone will desire it? Can anyone help me to answer this? Yes, so he will help us. Thanks.
Through a survey.
You say you do a survey. So whatever you think, you maybe before you make it, go and ask the people, if I were to make this, would you like it? So that's one way. Any other opinion or a way to, the question again is, how do I know if this is going to be desirable while I'm still thinking about it? Can anyone else just help us? Lewis, what do you think? And the one question is, do a survey.
Well, it really depends.
On?
Sometimes you need to know what people desire.
Yes.
But sometimes even people themselves don't know what they really want.
Right.
You are just creating a need. You are just creating a need for them to make them think that they want, and they will eventually believe that they want it.
Right. So thank you very much. Very good answer. So actually what Lewis is saying, sometimes maybe you need to take risk because people, before we created the car, if you ask them what do they want, maybe they'll say we want a faster horse. But if you are really confident of the service or the technology that you are producing, then you will, you can make it and check. But this is actually the part of the entrepreneur where he or she could somehow see that there is a need for this or a desire for this. Now, there are some products or services that is desirable. So for example, if there is a way that I can assure you when you come to the campus, you will have parking. I know you will want it. Provided that it doesn't cost you much, I think you will want it, if I can provide you that. I know for sure if there is a product that can make people eat as much as they can, but they still look slim and fit, I think they will want it. So there are certain things that are they're quite in demand. But again, if you are not sure, doing a survey, market study is very important. Okay. Yeah, take the mic, please. Yes.
But then, is it possible to create the desire then?
Very good question. Is it possible to create a desire? What do you think? Who think yes? Raise your hand. Create a desire. Who think you cannot create a desire? Raise your hand. So majority think it's possible. Now, if you think of the Apple products in general, they actually created a new market. And now the products are highly desirable, I would like to say. I think the automotive business is also something that created a need and a desire and an entire business model around it. Now, there are things that when they started, even the founder didn't know that there would be desire for that. So for example, when Facebook started, when Google started, they actually did not know that this product is going to be so desirable and people wanting it that much. So there is also an element of trial and error. And if you remember, we talked about for us to be entrepreneurs that we need to have some tolerance to failure. We try something and we fail. But what you need, as you are thinking, conceiving, designing, implementing, what I've noticed through my years of experience is we often fall in love with our ideas. And then we start to forget that what I'm making is something for other people to use. And that's the part where, as you move on, you keep on asking yourself, will this be at least desirable? Now, if I go and check with my friend, if I check with an outsider, and I say, would you like this? If I make something like that, will you buy it? And they say, nah, no. And then if everyone I'm asking is telling me, not necessarily, I don't think I'll buy it, then maybe the desire is not there. Now, saying so, there are actually some products that everyone thought there'll be no desire for them, including some TV hits. Star Trek, for example. The guy who made them, he was really trying to get this series of episodes onto the screen, and he has been rejected, I don't know, maybe 100 times. Eventually they say, we'll make one episode for you. And when they made it, it was a global hit. They didn't know, but he somehow believed in it. So sometimes we need people to believe, maybe against even the survey of the people, that this thing will work. And then the entrepreneur will try it. But at the end of the day, it has to be somehow a desirable thing. Maybe we don't know it up front, but what I would like to say is, anything that is not desirable will not be in the market for long. Yeah, but a very good question. I really thank you for that. Any other question? Okay, so maybe I can show you now a video. The video is about a company called CDIO, and this is a company that's very well known for innovation. Some of you maybe have watched this as part of my other talks, but I've watched this many times, and I always find it very fascinating. So you will see a process of conceiving, designing, implementing, and operating a product within a very short period of time, and you'll also see a new approach to innovation, a very good approach to innovation, as well as a brainstorming session in action. I would like to highlight that showing you this does not mean that I am indicating that the project that I would like you to do has to be a physical project. The project that you will be doing could be anything, could be a service, could be a product, could be literally almost anything. So, but through the product, the physical product that this group of people will do over a few days period is we are going to see the entire process from conceiving to designing to implementing to operating, and how do they look at the user throughout the process. So they always think, who is going to be our user? How is he or she going to use the product? So I'll play this. I would like to maybe invite those who are at the back to come front closer to just listen in case you cannot hear it.
It used to be that you deferred to the boss.
Is it the boss is always going to have the best ideas? Not likely.
Here, nimble fingers, alert minds, and tireless machines.
And it used to be in most companies that chaos was discouraged.
This is where the crazies live. This is where we do our work. It's different.
Good morning. Good morning.
Used to be you were supposed to climb the corporate ladder.
Good morning.
Status is who comes up with the best ideas, not who's the oldest, not who's been with the company longest, not who has that biggest title. If you go into a culture and there's a bunch of stiffs going around, I can guarantee they're not likely to invent anything.
You could stack us up big as you want.
That's great. Thanks a lot. And we had a great time today.
Well, forget the way it used to be. Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon for innovation. A lot further along in this broadcast, near the end as a matter of fact, you will hear one of the central characters suggest that we look around. The only thing that's not designed by anybody, he will say, is nature. Actually, you could say the same thing by observing that the only designs that don't require constant modification are the ones we find in nature. But the point is well taken. From the buildings in which we live and work to the cars we drive or the knives and forks with which we eat, everything we use was designed to create some sort of marriage between form and function. Does it work, and can we make it look interesting or attractive? What is truly amazing is how long we tend to put up with things that may not work particularly well or may look especially unattractive simply because we're accustomed to them and because no one has ever suggested redesigning those things. There's an interesting distinction between design and invention. Whoever came up with the idea of dental floss, for example, was an inventor, but the man or woman who put it inside that clever little plastic box that lets you tear off just the right length, that was a designer. Now, how does the process of designing a better product work? And would it be interesting to watch that process? When we first broadcast this program back in February, we weren't at all sure what you would think, but Judging by the number of you who ordered video cassettes of the program and the number of people who contacted the industrial product design firm that is featured in this program, you liked it a lot. Here was the premise of the program. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Designers are the reason TVs have square screens, chairs 4 legs, and toothbrushes nowadays those squishy handles. In fact, it was IDEO that designed those squishy handles. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple. Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens. Hundreds of products we take for granted.
This is called the Neat Squeeze toothpaste tube, which...
You invented that. The man who runs IDEO is Dave Kelly, a Stanford engineering professor with a Groucho Marx mustache, a dad of genius, and an approach to innovation that usually works.
Well, thank you, Fred.
But not always.
Thanks a lot. I can show you some products that failed. Came up with this idea called monster shoes, where you take these little monsters and lace them into your shoes, like this. And we built a bunch of them, and I didn't want those either. So.
Mostly what IDEO designs, though, does work, and it works very well. Dave and his design teams create about 90 new products every year.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. You know, we're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, you know, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
And so for the next 5 days, the team will apply that process to bringing the supermarket shopping cart into the 21st century.
I think first we should maybe all acknowledge that it's kind of insane to do an entire project in a week.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO.
Kids climbing up and doing this.
Kids do that?
No. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
Not just reported in the store. You actually have to go to the
that's
emergency
hospitalized.
room.
Right.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen.
You know, what is the average life of a cart? Does it last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And how big is this theft thing?
10 a.m. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
And the other side says, gives us a lot of help, says, be safe.
Everyone appears to be equal, and they love to mock corporate America.
I'll give you status. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
According to Kelly, even employees who merely listen to the boss don't add that much either.
So you gotta hire people who don't listen to you, and that, I don't think corporate America wants to hear that right yet.
I think we ought to start making those lists about the kinds of questions that we're going to ask.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man,
that's actually a pretty good point.
The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
What you're seeing here is the kind of social science, like anthropologists, you know, like you go and study tribes. What is it that they do that we can learn from that will help us design a better cart?
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
In corporate America, many bosses measure whether their people are, the good people or the people who are performing are the ones that they see at their desk all the time. That couldn't be further from the truth. The people who are really getting the information are out here talking to the buzzes of the world, going to meet other experts, much more useful than sitting at your desk.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today. People went off into the four corners of the earth and are coming back with the golden keys to innovation.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You ought to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today. Yeah. Get together and start here.
Day 2 and the start of IDEO's unique brand of brainstorming. They call it a deep dive, a sort of total immersion in the problem at hand. IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell, you know.
The deep dive begins, and for the next few hours, the ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. Nesting is, it sort of has to nest. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
How about Velcro pants and Velcro seats for the kids, and you just drop them down on there. And
like Velcro seats? Velcro pants for kids?
Yeah, see, you have to have some wild ideas. If then you build on those wild ideas, and they end up being better ideas than if you said, if everybody only came up with sane things, you know, kind of appropriate things, you'd never have any points to take off to build a really innovative idea.
It's organized chaos.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
By 11 a.m., the group begins narrowing down the hundreds of ideas written or drawn on the walls. How? By voting for them.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it.
Why not have you be the judge? You're the boss.
Because I'm going to be wrong. It's the team that's able to really judge what the best idea is.
Otherwise, ideas wouldn't come out?
That's right. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. That and the focused chaos that seems to go with it.
I take a point of view, I call it the sport utility vehicle cart.
It is noon. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
So we don't want to tell them what to build, or else we take away the benefit of the whole thing, right?
What needs should they optimize their solution to?
Yes.
The purpose is to refocus the deep dive.
Maybe we arbitrarily say we could do 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. Hey, can we grab everybody over to the wall here? There has to be a command decision. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
Like it or not, the team is told it will split into groups to build mock-ups, covering 4 areas of concern that have been identified. Shopping, safety, checkout, and finding what you're looking for.
I noticed that toward the end of the process, the adults took over.
Yeah, that's because we have no choice but to stop that cycle. I mean, there's if you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
While the team starts building prototypes, Dave Kelly takes me on a tour of the rest of IDEO.
What's happening in here is that's a client meeting. That's a first client meeting. That's the first time we met with the client. So we haven't trained them yet. If we took them straight from there into a room where music was blaring and everybody was throwing Nerf darts at each other, that would be a little hard to take. You know, so we're warming them up. But this is where the crazies live. This is where we do our work. It's different. You can tell whether a place is playful in about the first 15 minutes as you walk down the hall. Being playful is of huge importance for being innovative. I mean, if you go into a culture and there's a bunch of stiffs going around, they're not, I can guarantee they're not likely to invent anything.
Invent anything like this futuristic-looking instrument for kids.
So no matter what you do with that thing, you always
sound great.
You always sound good.
You have to make it so that this can happen.
Whoa, it didn't break.
No, it didn't break.
There's a whole department at IDEO devoted to toys. Turns out to be one of its most profitable areas. Fun, too.
So it got these little wings, and no matter what you do, if I get in trouble here, it's always a spiral.
At IDEO, they found that fresh ideas come faster in a fun place. Not only is the furniture on wheels to suit the needs of the moment, but people are encouraged actually to build their own work areas.
And they were designing this space and they said to me, you know, we'd like to have, you know, $4,000 extra in our budget for a DC-3 wing. And I said, DC-3, you have to have that? And they said, yeah, they have to have it. So
that's a DC-3 wing.
Piece of a DC-3 wing, yeah.
And that's just decor.
That's decor. That's ambiance, you know, that says we're weird and we're proud of it.
Umbrellas on the ceiling to shade computer screens from direct sunlight, and bicycles on ropes to prevent clutter.
The first guy who hung a bike up on a thing, he didn't come to me and ask me. He didn't ask some facilities person was okay. He tried it. And then, like, he waited and see if anybody complained. If nobody complained, another guy hung a bike up. And pretty soon, everybody's got their bikes up and nobody's complained, right? So it's that whole thing of trying stuff and ask forgiveness, you know, instead of asking permission, is the way people come up with new ideas.
IDEO has such a reputation for innovation that client companies are increasingly asking Dave not just for new products, but also to remake their corporate cultures. You may be looking at the workplace of the future here.
It's one thing to be able to do a product once in a while, but if you can build a culture and a process where you routinely come up with great ideas, that's what the companies really want.
Okay, Peter, we're done.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock, and the 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the carts come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work. It is day 5, and Dave Kelly has no idea what the final cart looks like. Only the team does.
If they kind of got their heads down, they don't look at me, I'm nervous. You know, if they say, wait till you see it, then I know we're in good shape. So I'm getting wait until you see it. I think that'll be good.
There it is! There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype, designed this entire cart in a day, And then this cart was fabricated in a day with an amazing team of people in our machine shop pulling this off, working in shifts throughout the night.
Wow, I'm impressed.
So are we.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. Hand baskets that stack in a metal frame, and major improvements for all.
You just lift the handle up, you drop the, put the children in, and then you can close the handle right over them, and they instantly have some little bit of a work surface that they can play with.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. Yeah. It's also beautiful. I mean, let's take it over to a local supermarket and see what they say.
Yeah, it works really well.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way.
Rather than taking your cart everywhere you go in the store, through a crowded store like this, much more efficient to take a small basket, rush around to where the particular shelves are, and come back and
put them back.
Put them here, and treat this as like a center for your shopping.
And with a high-tech scanner, so that in the future you skip the checkout traffic jam.
Here's how you would scan an item. You'd reach over and pick up anything like the salad dressing, and I would scan it, and if I want to accept that item, I would just press plus and then drop it in my basket.
Because stores don't yet have those high-tech scanners the team designed, checking out today means doing it the old-fashioned way. But the bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
Why get rid of the big basket?
The basket is tyranny. The basket is tyranny because it's not really needed. If all your stuff ends up in bags, why need the basket in the first place?
Talk to me about theft.
There's no value in this cart without the basket because you can't carry anything in it. It's useless to anybody. You can't use it as a barbecue.
So it's not going to get stolen.
That's right.
So this ought to appeal to store owners then.
Yes.
I love it. I think it looks great.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
It makes us feel great. And she also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
Just wherever you are, look around. The only thing that's not designed by somebody is nature. So the trees are not designed by us, but everything you see, every light fitting, every flower vase, every scale, every stand for fruit, everything is designed, has to go through this kind of process. And they can do a better or worse job of innovating or improving, but everything is designed. It has to go through this process.
It wasn't this effortless, oh my God, so that's how it works thing that I saw there. It was actually hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. We all love it, so it doesn't look like it's hard work, but it's a lot of hours.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
I'll be back with a brief update on our story in just a moment. Incidentally, the Nightline shopping cart won a silver award in the Industrial Design Excellence Awards, and there's talk now of developing it commercially. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Sunny, maybe you can give us the lights, please. So any comment, any reflection? I know some of you have watched this, but believe me, I have watched it maybe, I don't know, 50 times. And every time I still learn something from it. Now, if I don't know if you've noticed or not, this room is actually designed, the design is inspired by the IDEO place. We even, I don't know if you've paid attention to these cubes or not. So they exist, I mean, in the video, and we got things like that. So this, you could sit on them, you could model things with them. So that's why I'm inviting you to tell me any thought, any reflection. You have something to say? No. Okay. Okay, so what we can do now, we can do maybe a group of you could come and do a brainstorming session, and we could practice the rules of the game. So any one of you would like us to help him or her with their project? I know some of you have submitted the project's brief already. I would like the rest of you to give me the projects by Wednesday, the remaining projects. Yeah, some of you have submitted already, so I have it with me here. But you could always improve on that with the knowledge about the thinking process and the exercises that we've done thus far. I really would like you to submit your project by Wednesday afternoon next week. So if any one of you would like to work on his or her project, we could pick a team, and then we perform the brainstorming exercise in front of everybody. So who would like to use this opportunity? Nobody? Yes, you want to? Okay. So will you please come here? Yeah, because you'll do it here. So who would like to help him? Okay, so Arthur. Yeah, please come here. Anyone else would like to help him? Come. So we have four? Okay, so we are helping you with your project. So can you tell me what is the project? So you're working on something, yeah, for that entrepreneurial project, and you want ideas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the brainstorming is our way to develop ideas. Let me just put the rules of the brainstorming up here. Okay. So we will stand here. Okay. And so what is the topic? Okay. We need the mic. Sorry. Thanks. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yep.
What I'm doing now is actually to try to launch something called the anti-smoking campaign, where I will want to, at first I want to start off with some small videos that maybe can probably touch people by telling them to, in another way beside the normal education methods, to let people to stop smoking.
Right. So you have an anti-smoking campaign.
Yes.
And the ideas that you need are for what?
What I want is that I need some ideas that can deeply touch people. It may not be directly related to smoking, but I want something that is touching enough, and I will try to use some kind of linkage to link it to the smoking.
Okay, so the whole idea is anti-smoking. And you want to do it in an emotional way. So you want an emotional campaign, right? Yes. Am I describing? So this is the topic. Because if you recall, one of the rules of the brainstorming is to remain focused on the topic. Because as you may see later, things will go in a certain direction, and then whenever we see ourselves are diverging, we could help. It would be useful to go back and focus on our topic. So what I would like you to do is maybe let's face them also. Yeah, is it okay? Just like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do brain networking. Okay. So let's connect our brains. Okay. So I will just moderate it. Jacqueline, you say any word to start the process.
Smoking.
Smoking. Adult.
Adult.
Father.
Child.
Son.
Son.
Bad for health.
No, listen. So he says son. So now you need to build on the word of son. So son is bad for health, or you are back to the where you started?
Daughter.
Daughter.
Cute.
Cute.
Cute. K-I-L.
Cute.
Cute. Cute.
Cute.
Playful.
Playful. Enjoyful.
What's it? Enjoyful. Fun.
Fun.
Play.
Play.
Playground. Slide.
What do you call it? Taman.
Huh?
Taman.
Oh, park.
Park. Yeah, park.
Green.
Trees.
Trees.
Bird. Nature.
The world.
People.
Society.
Society. Society.
Facebook. Farmville.
Sorry?
Farmville.
Games.
Addiction.
Drugs.
Drugs. Medic.
Pharmacist.
Doctor.
Profession.
Engineering.
Engineering.
Me. You.
Us.
What was it?
Us.
Us. Oh. Together.
Family.
Family.
Okay. My sister. And I.
What?
And I. Oh, my sister and I. Okay.
And Jeffrey.
Actually, you see, the reason why you are stopping is because you are still looking at the context.
Oh, okay.
You just forget about the context. He say I. To me, glasses. You just forget about you are not threading a story. You are just building on whatever he's giving you. Just trust, and if it's an I, you could say glasses. You could say seeing. That's it. So the reason why you think, because I'm sure any word that you know, what does it mean? It brings an image somehow to your brain. Now, the moment you start thinking, I'm having the feeling that, is this right or not? Which tells me you are not yet rewired. We will networked. We will stop when you guys go one cycle without stopping. And that will be very smooth. You know you are ready. Yeah. Okay, so.
Seeing.
Was it?
Seeing.
Television.
Channels.
Movie. Cinema.
TGV.
Blockbuster.
First thing comes to your mind only.
Famous.
Famous.
Emma Watson. Harry Potter.
Blockbuster.
Big money.
Rich.
Bill Gates.
Okay, so let's stop here. Yeah. So you say Bill Gates. Yeah. You want to tell me that your brain is blank? Yeah. So what did you have the first thing when you see Bill Gates?
Rich.
you saw the word rich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rich. Power.
Authority.
Mighty.
Mighty.
TED.
What? TED. TED. Organization.
TED.
TED.
Top.
Gather.
What's it?
Gather.
G-A-D.
G-A-T-H-E-R.
Oh, okay. Gather. Working.
Money.
Manpower.
Workforce. Energy.
Patron.
Petrol.
Shell. ExxonMobil.
Star.
The sun.
The moon.
The stars. Planets.
Universe.
Astronomy.
Yeah, so we'll stop there. Did you notice it started to become faster and faster, and it means you are now ready. So now our focus is an anti-smoking emotional campaign. I would like one of you to write. So just write whatever is being said. Okay? So would you like to do that, Jacqueline?
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so any idea that comes to you, you just write it. You just say it. Yeah. Now you need to think, this is not the time for networking. So is this an anti-smoking emotional campaign? Yeah, so you want addiction?
No.
So now we want ideas for an anti-smoking emotional campaign.
Videos?
Okay. So what did I just do? What did I just do? Yes, what did I do?
Condemn an idea.
I just condemned an idea. While the rule says what? It says defer judgment, do not criticize people's ideas. So when I do that, what should you do? You ring the bell. You just say, look, don't do it. Okay? So any one of you, so that's addiction. Now go ahead.
Impact.
Cancer, okay. Yeah. So try now. Try. Yeah. Now try to put it as an idea, not just a word. Can you put it as an idea as well? So focus. You have addiction. You have cancer. You have family. You have loved ones. Yes. Yeah.
Strong contrast.
Now, if any one of you would like to participate, you just shoot the idea from your side. Just ask for the mic. Yeah, you need to speak to the mic, please. Yeah, so we get that. Yeah. Jacqueline, would you like to say it?
Is that the bell of the memory?
So you have the bell. Yes. What happened?
No.
You just testing it. Okay, good. Okay, so let me try to help you. You see, what is our focus? Is there any idea for campaign here yet? No, but is there an idea for a campaign? So you see, we say it's an emotional campaign for anti-smoking, right? Do you see any campaigning here?
It's the fragment of ideas.
Yeah. So let me give you an idea to just start things. A flying airplane that looks like a cigarette that flies over the campus and then goes into the lake. So it's a cigarette that's huge, flying, and then it comes and dips into the lake, and then you don't have the smoke anymore. Yeah. Now, is this wild idea? Yeah. You don't criticize it. Build on it. So this is an idea of a campaign. The cigarette will come flying, huge, big, large, and then will go into the lake and it will disappear. Just an idea, yes.
Just an idea or something. That's all we know.
Yeah, yeah.
Number of that on the screen. If the depth of course is due to what you call it, smoking, it will count it at the screen. It's 1, 2, 3, something like that. It's like screen number, right? Count the number of that.
As a cigarette flies.
I think this is not connected. This is another idea.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
Another idea.
Yeah.
Meaning the clinic will take the, what do you call it? The number of that.
Yeah. Body count. Body count. Body count. Yeah.
No, I think we can play that two together. As the aeroplane-shaped cigarette flies, you could display messages. Don't just fall into the lake so fast. Maybe fly like half an hour, then only you go into the lake. So while it's doing its rounds, you can have that, so everyone can see, or some other community message or whatever that he wants to put, maybe a movie or something, and just play it while it's flying. Then out of gas.
So you are combining both messages together. Yeah. So this is, you see, it's a wild idea. You are encouraging it, and you could actually now you say, so the thought of flying, the thought of reminder of the number of death is, if this is the thing that you are going to focus on, then be it. What other ways you can do a campaign?
Maybe make a cigarette shape. A cigarette which I can do any symbolic. Maybe like I put a cigarette and then, okay, just for example, a man, tada, okay, and then as the smoke goes and yeah, cannot stand anymore. Or even can use money to symbolize, as the thing shot down, your money is gone. Or anything. But this one maybe just as a banner.
So you are saying here, this is a screen. This is a physical thing. Physical, and then you say a banner, right? Banner. Okay. Now, if you let's, any one of you smokes?
No.
No. Okay. Nasharuddin, can we seek your expertise as a smoker? Please come. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So maybe the issue is none of us also smokes, so it's a bit difficult to. So we get an expert's opinion. So they want to have an anti-smoking campaign.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to touch you emotionally and maybe convince you to stop smoking? So just to help us critique before we move on, will something to tell you that so many people die, will that really affect you? No. It won't.
Maybe money.
Money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, when you buy a pack of cigarette,
yes,
all you see is 10 ringgit or 12 ringgit. But if you accumulate it, like in 1 month, you will see a very huge amount. That will maybe make me think twice.
Right. So what is he saying? This maybe won't work because now the box of cigarette itself has all sorts of figures to tell you this is going to give you cancer, is going to give you. Can we have a look?
It's on the table.
Can we have the cigarettes, please? Yeah.
So increase the price.
No, what he's saying is if you show him that over a year, he's spending not just the 10 ringgit, but maybe it's 1,000 ringgit, then is a different thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So this one already has all sorts of messages, to tell you, but apparently is
he doesn't care anyway.
He doesn't care. So this is not apparently is not working.
Yeah, because I think most of the smokers, they know that smoking is bad.
Right.
They said they can't stop. That's
Okay.
why I want something
Emotional. Yeah. Okay. Now, if we were to ask you again, and we really thank you very much for this. If we ask you again, if I pick on, yeah, oh yeah, I'm looking for this. The family, loved ones. Do you have a brother, sister?
Little brother.
Little brother. So you have a little brother. So that's family. Who would you advise your brother? Is it okay for him to smoke, you think?
No, definitely.
You actually advise him not to smoke?
It depends on the age, actually.
Right.
If you were to start at maybe 20, 21, it wouldn't be worth it because you've been through so long with not smoke. Then if you start smoking, it's just a waste.
I see.
But if you start at maybe 16, 15, 17, yeah. Then
I see. So how old is he now?
He's just 10 years old.
So I think maybe if he starts now, even better, right?
No, definitely
Why?
not.
Why? Because the younger, the better you are telling me. It's worth it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she should start now.
But from 15 maybe.
15,
yeah, not from 10.
Really, why? Why?
Because you start at 21, you've been through the years where you just hold it back. You never give in to cigarette. So you waste that amount of effort. So why don't you just don't smoke? But if you start smoking from 15, it doesn't really matter. Your lungs are already spoiled. So might as well don't stop.
Right.
And the fact is that where your lungs, the cells in your lungs actually stop regenerating at the age of 27, 25, 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I seriously, I'm still having
So if
issues.
you
Yes.
have that amount, the longer gap, you actually, is more worth it because you have more time before the cells in your lungs actually die. Stop regenerating.
So are you saying that if you start smoking early, you will have fun for a longer period of time?
Yeah.
Is that what you are saying?
Then you get maybe sick of it, then you actually stop.
Or you die and then...
yeah.
Okay. But again, that's actually having the same message. I think you should actually convince your brother to start smoking now.
No.
Why? If you think about it, it's actually the same.
Why would I advise my family member to kill themselves?
No, because it's fun, right? That's what you are saying.
That's personally for me.
Right. Okay. So now let me ask you another, maybe more difficult question. When you have a son, so is it okay for him to smoke at the age of 15 onwards?
I actually plan to stop smoking when I get married.
And when will that be?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Maybe when I get tired of smoking.
Right. Okay. So actually, did that actually make you a bit uncomfortable? Recommending smoking to your younger brother? No, it's okay.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's a good
exercise for them. No, I mean
for me too. Actually.
Yes, for you. Which one?
The brainstorming.
Oh, the brainstorming. I thought you are. No. So what I'm telling you, do you think if we utilize that contrast, where was the word contrast put?
I used a
strong contrast between what you want for yourself, what you don't mind for yourself, while you don't want for another loved one, as a contrast. Do you think this may make people think?
Not all, not the ignorant one, but maybe majority would actually consider.
Right. So if we were to, I'm actually picking on an idea that you spoke about before, but I'm trying to steer it in that direction. So if we were to make a media campaign, okay? So there's a media campaign, and the media campaign has that contrast that your smoking is actually making the children smoke. So can I have the box again? So we tried telling you that this is going to do bad things to you, you don't care. I think you know that this costs you money and somehow you're still spending it. But what if the campaign is to use that strong contrast between what you accept for yourself, but you don't accept for maybe another loved one, especially the young ones. Do you think this may be a right direction for the campaign to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, great. Would you like to be part of this just because, since you bring the expertise in? If you don't mind, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so you guys continue now. We know we want a media campaign. Maybe you just tried, it's a media thing. Okay. You have an idea. Okay, okay. Give us the idea. Okay. Jeff has an idea.
Maybe you can make small stickers and write messages like if you stop smoking within a year, you can buy something can relate to your to the monetary needs.
Right. So how do you do that?
It's something like it's actually called guerrilla marketing. You guys paste like small stickers with certain messages which are thought out at high traffic flow areas like water coolers, smoking areas, toilets. Behind the toilet door, when they shut the door, they see the message. Something like that.
And it says that the more you save the money, when you don't smoke, you save the money.
You can be like, stop smoking within a year and buy a laptop. It could be something like that. Or could relate to something else, could relate to family. But these are small ways of maybe can have a cumulative effect on the population of the campus.
I see. So let me pick on this. Maybe, do you think then your project could be, I mean, if you are open, your project actually to have a website where every time he chooses not to buy that cigarette, he could actually transfer the money into an account, and by the time you reach that level, you can buy a laptop or you eventually buy a car. What do you think? Jeff, what are you doing? Looking for the bell. Yeah. So website.
I think in the meantime, let me share one idea which I shared with Prof. Mushtak 2 weeks ago. Okay, it's actually the reason why I come to this anti-smoking and I want to make an emotional campaign. What happened is that this is a video made from Thailand. What happened is that they asked 2 young child, 6 years old like that, and they will take a cigarette out and ask a smoking person and ask, can I get a lighter from you? Can I have a fire? Okay? And surprisingly, most of the people that be asked to give a lighter or borrow a fire to the child, they rejected it. And they're telling the child that it's bad for health. And one of the person even say, by smoking, you know you'll die faster, right? Don't you want to enjoy it? And after that, the children just ask them one question. Then, why are you smoking? And the children take out a paper which consists of a number for them to, it's an organization to help them to quit smoking. And just by that campaign, it reduces the number of smokers in Bangkok by 20%. And that's what the impact I wanted is, not really I wanted, I want a similar impact where a 5-year-old children which you thought to be innocent and suddenly ask the contrast feeling. That's what it inspired me to have one emotional campaign. And because it might not be suitable for our country culture, so I want something to,
I think that media is very important when it comes to campaigning. So by using loved ones and family and also secondhand smokers, I think it can actually bring a big impact to smokers. In the sense that we know that secondhand smokers die faster than smokers. So this can happen in any age. If we use a kid as a secondhand smoker that unfortunately passed away because of the smoker, this can actually make the smokers feel like, why does this have to happen? And I should stop smoking, or at least reduce the amount of smoking and things like that.
Right. So you are thinking of maybe an ad, newspaper ad or a social media ad?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What is the reason why you want to stop smoking after you get married?
Good question.
It's simple, because my wife will be pregnant, I will have a kid, I wouldn't want him to inhale the secondhand smoke. And I do want to live longer though.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Can we actually come with a conclusion with what we have?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I also remember once with Dr. Edwin, we put votes on our ideas.
Yes.
There was one of the activities done with Dr. Edwin back in innovation. Can we do it so we can minimize? We have 6 ideas. We have 6 ideas, maybe we can minimize the amount of ideas.
Okay, so if every one of you has 2 votes, you go and vote by putting a cross. Is that okay? So each one of you have 2 votes, and please just use 2. So you pick out of these your favorite 2. So she's actually now, yeah, yes, okay?
Yeah, we're all done the training.
Yeah.
I guess put
Right.
initials there.
Okay, put your initial, yeah, it's a good idea. Okay. Maybe you can give to our expert.
What is the word you want on 3 again?
Banner.
Banner.
Mm.
I thought it looked like Batman.
You can sign more than one?
2.
2.
Yeah, you can pick 2, yeah. So this is for which one? For the flying cigarette? Yeah, okay.
So then you change the flying cigarette.
Yeah, so now actually if you could take this and further, so yeah, you've done it, right? So you have 3, 4. Thanks. 3.
Guerrilla marketing and website is the same thing.
Yeah, so I think this 3.
I see. Yeah, so we limit to 3.
On the most social media.
Social, and then
Right.
And
The website. Yeah. So
who doesn't like a flying cigarette?
yeah. Actually, you see a flying cigarette. Is it that difficult to make? We can make a balloon, right?
No, it draws attention.
And it draws attention. Yes.
All of that anyway.
Yes. Yeah. So this could be something that maybe now you could take it further and think about it, and you still have the social media where that video could go in, but at the same time, how do you attract media attention to that video that you're going to put on YouTube? And this could be maybe through your flying cigarette. Yeah. Okay? Great. Give them a big hand. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, well done, well done. Very good. Thank you also for our expert. Thanks. Okay, so let me go on. We talked about this. Let me just go through this. Okay. So we have thus far, we started with brain networking. And maybe before I move on, I want maybe one of the group that did the brain networking to tell us, do you think it's worth it to start with the brain networking? So the mic, yeah. Do you think it was a good exercise? Yeah. So you want to say a few words why it's good?
Yes, because actually I did the innovation, the trainings before,
Right.
yes. It's really helped in giving more innovative ideas.
So how did it help you with giving the more innovative ideas?
You mean the brain networking?
Yes, yes. So the fact that we say brain, idea, thought, we take a word from each other and build on it. What do you have any idea why do you felt good about it? Why do you felt it was effective?
Because this one is that when there's more circulation, you will try to, because you don't really have much thinking, you will try to go from the outer brain to the middle brain or even the inner brain actually.
Right. Okay. So the reason why I actually asked them to give some feedback, because people say, come on, La, don't waste time. Don't waste time. Let's just go and bring ideas. What is brain networking going to do to me? But believe me, trust the process. It's going to make you able to first pick other person's idea and build on it. And also, if you have an idea, without much judging it, you just blurt it out, and that will be really helpful. So we talked about the brain networking. We talked about the brain storming. Another technique that I personally found very, very useful is called random entry, and I would like to introduce it to you. This technique was developed by Edward de Bono, and it works like this. You choose a focus, whatever you would like to create, an idea in relation to that focus, and then choose a random object. So for example, if here we are talking about anti-smoking, so let's say that's our focus, is anti-smoking, then you would pick any object. So the object could be a pen, could be a phone, could be a flower, anything, and then you list the attributes and the links of, list the attributes of the object that you choose to be your focus or a point of random entry, and connect this back to the focus that you've chosen. So I'll show you an example. So this is what? A flower. Now, what are the attributes of a flower? Yes? Scent. Scent, smell. Okay, what else? Yes?
The color.
Color. So when you see the flower, it could be. So let me give you an example. This is actually a real example. A company that makes photocopiers was in big trouble, and they are losing market share, and they are not doing very well. So they invited Edward de Bono to help them invent a new product that revitalizes the business. So the focus was photocopying. Okay? So he just picked a flower, and then smell. Smell, photocopying, they didn't feel it's really connected. Then nectar and photocopying, yeah, it's not really connected. Pollen, this is also an attribute of the flower. It's romantic, photocopying, maybe doesn't really add. Color, photocopying. Color, photocopying. Does that, yeah. So now you need to understand that was during a time where all the photocopying was black and white. So the idea that he gave them is to try to create a new business, which is color photocopying. So this is how a random entry could actually help you to generate an idea for maybe a new business or a new entrepreneurial affair. Now, when I thought about this, and let's change the focus. Let's change the focus to, so let's say we still have the flower. And let's say our focus is printing. you know, like computer printer that you have. So let's say a printing company is asking you to come up with a new thing. Now, I think all the printers are color printers. So you could still say color printing. It doesn't add much value. Can you go with me through the exercise and tell me again what are the attributes of this flower? Smell. Now, smell and printing. Can this add?
Could be.
How? Tell me.
They might use like kind of. They might use kind of ink that has a smell.
Okay.
So that can, if you want to print, for example, you want to print a flower.
Yes. So
the ink itself, it has a smell.
Right.
So you can smell it, and something like the 3D thing or 4D thing, you know.
Okay. So now, people, I want you to pay attention to this. If there is a printer that can print things that has actually a smell, do you think there'll be a market for that? So you buy a printer and you buy a cartridge, and literally you could download any smell.
Wow.
What do you think? Did he just invent a great thing or not? No, I'm serious. You think about it. If the price is right and there is a printer that actually can print smell. So just imagine if companies start to develop their own smell. So when you receive your phone bill, it smells different. If you receive a letter from us telling you that you haven't been attending classes, it has a totally different smell. If you send a reminder that the service is going to be cut, you'll give it a different smell. That's an example. Now, if you send a romantic letter, you could actually give it a different smell. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be happen.
Now, you say it could happen. An entrepreneur maybe will make it happen. And then he or she will be the first person who made a smell printer. Now, this is something that you just thought of, right?
Yeah.
But would you have ever thought of this without the random entry?
No.
There's no way, right? No. So this is the power of this technique. Now, believe me, it's only a matter of time before this product becomes available. In the beginning, it will be maybe a bit expensive, but eventually it become cheaper. And then the people who are born after that, they will think that printers always have been printing things with color and smell and texture and all these kind of things. So this is an example of how you can use random entry. Is it clear? Any question about this? Anyone would like to make a printer that prints smell? I leave it to you. If not one of you, one of the online students will do it. Yeah. So this is another technique that is actually quite powerful that I invite you to use. Another technique is called trimming. So trimming, you take a process, a product, or a system. Then you break it into its individual components. So for example, if you look at this pen, its individual component is, the cap, this part, the inkwell, whatever inside. So these are the components. Then you trim by removing an important component. You take away a component, a very important component, move it away, and then try to make the system work. Ask yourself, how do I make it work? So for example, toothbrush. So it has two main parts, the handle and the bristles, right? So these are the two main parts of the toothbrush. Now, if I remove the handle, I say I want to cut, trim, remove the handle. How do I make it work? Or if I want to trim the bristles, how do I make it work? So if I trim the handle, I can use all these, and then I create a device that I just use my finger. Now, this device is used to brush the baby's tooth. Now, can I borrow your glasses? Yeah. So if you look at the glasses, what are the major parts of the glasses? So the lens and the frame. Now, if I remove the frame and I left with only the lenses, how do I make it work? Stick on, and that's called what? Contact lens. Thank you very much. Now, if I take a business, if I take a bookstore and I remove the store, what do I end up with? And so the bookstore, I remove the book, I remove the store. So the bookstore business, if you want to open a bookstore, you will have books, you will have store, you will have staff. So if I remove the store from the equation, how do I make it work? Online. Sell online. So you end up maybe with something like Amazon. Okay? Now you can take a university and say, if I remove the lecturers, how do I make it work? Or maybe online. If I take a university and I remove the exams, how do I make it work?
Everyone will pass.
Everyone will pass, yes. But how do I make it work? Make it work meaning the students will come, they will pay their fees, the degree that you will have, the employees will recognize it. So it's not just simply yeah. So how do I make it work? So that's the trimming. Okay? Now, I would like to introduce something new that last time when we taught entrepreneurship we didn't introduce. This is called Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's actually from a book by Chang Kim and Renee. They are from INSEAD in Paris. So this book is actually a very good book, and I would really recommend that you read it. But if you don't read it, it's still okay. I'm going to explain it very, very quickly. The premise of the Blue Ocean Strategy is, in the ocean, fish eats the other fish, and it's very bloody. You know, it's red. But if you really go deep into the ocean, maybe there is less competition. It's blue ocean. And this book is, I actually copied this part here. It says, this part here says, how to create uncontested market space and make competition irrelevant. That's really the premise of the book. And it has a very interesting framework. It's called ERIC, so that you will remember it. So it stands for eliminate, reduce, increase, and create. Eliminate, reduce, increase, and create. I'm going to talk about it again soon. So it can be used to develop products, can be used to develop services, can be used to develop business models, and even lifestyles. So the model goes like this. You take any existing product, any existing process, or existing lifestyle, or a business, or a company, and ask yourself, what can I eliminate from that product, service, business model without really affecting it much, or maybe even affecting it positively? So what could I eliminate without having a negative impact on the user's experience? How could I just remove it entirely? So this is, in a way, very similar to trimming. What can I reduce without having a negative impact on the user's experience? What is the thing that I am doing now and I could increase further to improve the user's experience? And what is the thing that I do not do now at all that I could create so that I can increase or improve the user's experience? So let me give you an example. If I look at the airplane business, for example, the airline business, what are the things that we could eliminate from the passenger experience without having much impact on the user's experience? Can I eliminate the ticket? Can I eliminate the drinks? Can I eliminate? This is a question. What do you think? So if you want to start a new airline business, what do you think you could eliminate without having much impact on the passenger's experience? Just say anything. You are thinking, right? Just say it.
Maybe the boarding bus.
So the boarding pass, you could eliminate that. Okay. So when you eliminate it, what you replace it with what? With maybe something on your mobile phone, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this is maybe something is already done, and it's okay. So the airline could eliminate the boarding pass. The budget airline eliminate the drinks, the peanuts, whatever they give you. They simply give you just the basic kind of experience. What can they reduce? They can reduce delays. Yeah. Now, here you are talking about reducing something that you are already doing on purpose. So you used to print a boarding pass. Now you just remove it. There's no more boarding pass. But there is something else that you are doing on purpose, and you want to reduce it because it costs. It doesn't add much value, but it doesn't impact the customer experience that much. Yeah, Jeff.
Above cabin crew.
Okay, so we reduce the number of cabin crew. So as an airline, you could entirely eliminate the boarding pass, no more boarding pass, and instead of having 5 people in the cabin crew, maybe you have 2 or 1. So you still need some. You cannot just say there's no cabin crew. Someone close the door from outside and say, see you at the other end. Doesn't work like that. So you could reduce that. Very good example. Now, what are the things that if we increase would be actually good? So something that you are doing now, but if you do more of, the customer will be even happier. Now, our focus, don't forget, is the airline business.
More promotion, sales, free seats.
So we give more free seats, more promotions. Okay, very good. What is the thing? Now, I really want you to think now, because this is maybe the essence of the blue ocean strategy. So let's say you want to create a new airline business. We agree that we will remove entirely the boarding pass. Now, the eliminate part could have more things, but let's say we pick one for each quadrant. So we will eliminate the boarding pass. We will reduce the number of cabin crew. So all this actually become what? Saving. Now we can give more, increase the number of promotions and free seats and whatsoever. What is the thing that we could create that no other airline has created?
A cafe in the sky.
So maybe create a cafe inside. Sorry? You want to say something? Yeah, okay. No, you just say it, because this is actually about, it's a thinking exercise. I think. Yeah.
Oh, McDonald's on the aircraft.
McDonald's on the aircraft. Yes. So you are saying that you want to create something like McDonald's, okay, or a cafe. Sure. So if this is something that you think the customer will want and enjoy, then you create it. You use all this saving that has happened through the elimination and reduction, and then you create that. But I really want you to think again. What is something that if an airline creates, that would be really great? Yes.
Entertainment area.
Entertainment area. Okay. Yes. So they will, but you don't forget, when you do the entertainment area, you are reducing the seats available, so that will increase the cost as well. But it could be. But what else? You see, yes. Okay, I'll come to you after this.
Selling SIM cards.
Listen. This is a brilliant idea. He say selling SIM cards. Create selling SIM card business. Do you think this is a brilliant idea? Now, if you travel overseas, this is the thing that you actually want. So imagine if this airline eliminates the boarding pass, reduces the number of cabin crew, increases the number of promotions and free seats, and if this is an international flight, they will sell a SIM card. Do you think this is a brilliant idea or not? So that's a SIM card that will guarantee the best deal in town, because you go to a foreign airport, and you will see phone companies that you've never heard of before, and everyone is claiming what? The best service, the best deal in town, the best whatever. Everyone is having the same claim, and you don't know what to do. Should I buy now? Should I buy outside the airport? But just imagine if this service is created and sold to you, or even given free. I think that is really going to be an amazing service. So just imagine if they even give it to you for free, and they could create that partnership with the phone company. And actually, I think this is a wonderful idea. Is it the same idea? I think you better say it, please. Yeah.
Create a space for customer to have a comfortable zone, like reducing the size of the chair.
Right. Okay. So if you create a more comfortable space, that will increase the price of the.
It's like increase the passenger comfortable, and then they will choose the airline.
Right. Okay. So create a more comfortable experience for the passenger. Before I go, I just want to reiterate that when we do the blue ocean strategy, you just imagine if you are starting an airline, and you will be eliminating the boarding passes, reducing the cabin crew, creating saving and passing them back to the customers, and giving them a free SIM card if you are flying into a foreign airport. I think that would be really a wonderful airline. So with this, I would like to thank you very much. Please don't forget to submit your proposal for the project Wednesday afternoon. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.